Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video on the little Ford KA that we purchased from Copart. For those of you that haven't watched part 1 and 2, they are in the back catalogue and you can watch those there. But it's a lovely, nice little salvage car, very low mileage, nice model, got all the aircon, electric windows, got all the nice bits on it, and it was very, very reasonably priced. That's why we bought it. So in the last video, Chris unpicked the quarter panel and unpicked the quarter panel off the parts car and the rear light panel. So we got all of that ready to go. We also, right at the end of that video, got it on the jig. So today we're going to be needing to get the dozer out and start work on this car. So it had a bit of an impact here and we're going to need to pull all of that out. Also, when you do stand at the back of the car, you can see that this side is slightly up. So Chris is just running around in the background, getting everything together that we're going to need today to pull that out and also pull this side down a little bit and get it straight. So this inner wheel arch here, just a piece of tin, we actually noticed when we cut it off that it had a kink in it here. And that is just because this inner piece has just pushed forward. So as soon as we start to pull that back, we want to see that disappear, and we're quietly confident that it is going to. It is only a piece of tin. So we're going to get all set up, get the cameras set up, get everything set up, ready to go, and crack straight on with it. We're probably only about 70% of the way through setting up, but I thought we'll have a little cutting. It is quite time consuming getting everything set up, and we do like to get it all set up correct right the first time, and then you've got everything there that you need. So first of all, that cross beam had to be bolted down to the jig. That is part of the jig and it's designed for it. So that's all fitted on there and bolted down. And then of course we've got this clamp on there. Chris made up this bracket because we know that this needs to be pulled down. So we can now get the chain in there, pull the pin on this, take that out, we'll stick the chain through there, stick this back in, and then that way when you're pulling, it's actually pulling it down. So you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. We've got this arm in here ready to give this upper section a little pull, and then once it has pulled out, it'll make it more manoeuvrable, give us a bit more of a gap to get other brackets and things like that in there. So we'll carry on. We've got the dozer pulled out, just need to get all that set up and quite a few more bits to remove. Well, I think the wheel and a couple of other little bits, so let's do it. We're ready to go, guys. We are all set up. Very short chain there, but does only need a very short pull. Chris just measured it and it is about 1/2 inch, so 12 mil that needs to come down. So we're going to crack straight on with it, mate. Shall I stay rolling or yeah?
You can do. Probably be a bit of tension on that, so watch that chain.
Absolutely. We try and stand the other side of the chain. I know I've mentioned it many times. You don't want to be standing behind a dozer.
Or where the wedge could come out.
Yes.
That wedge.
Down there, yeah. We don't want that coming out. Yeah, come flying out.
Can you see that on there?
Tell you what, Chris, let me just turn this one on as well. We've got another one here, guys, and we're going to try and capture as much as we can today. So we'll leave that rolling live.
Yeah, you might see a better effect from the rear.
Over that side?
Yeah, because you can see that.
I'll probably crouch down here because I'm out of everyone's way.
Yeah. Something's going.
Yeah.
All we might need to do is change around and give it a little pull that way now.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, let her off. Yeah. Didn't go up half as much as it.
Just
Yeah, we'll have another measure.
Right, so that is now, that has gone 8 mil down, needs another 4 mil.
Getting there with it.
Yeah, so what we do, we'll cut it there, we'll change the chain round.
Pull that out a little bit.
A little bit, then we go back on
Back onto that one.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think it's...
Yeah.
It's showing the kink go or not, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Do you want to cut it then? We'll just check inside.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Because there's a definite dent there, yeah. So we're going to just, that's it, hold it down there, it won't hurt your hand so much when it hits. Quite nice there. Too bad there, we need that through there. So you carry on holding it there, that's it. Right, I don't need you on it for a minute. There must be more colour. You've left your, just on this bit there, that's it. That's it. You need to hold it on the inside now, not on the outside. It's getting a bit better. A
little bit of a warning, guys, it is going to be a little bit bangy. Chris is dolly in there, but as you can see now, that rear bar is just where it needs to be. Sorry, I'll try and show as much as I can, but sometimes it is quite noisy, like what Chris is doing here. He's got a little bit of tension in that chain. Just keeping a little bit of tension, sorry mate, in that chain there, while he's dollying up that metal, and then he's got that back to the shape he wants it. It just needs dressing up and dollying. Once you've done that, Chris, we'll release the chain, and ultimately what we want is everything that we've pulled there to stay where it is.
You need that to measure 326.
and make sure everything stays where it is. So I'm going to let Chris carry on getting that dollied up, and then we'll cut back in and have another look at it. Zoomed in, we're going to let it off and see if it stays there. Yes. Looks good, yeah, do it, mate.
That is... Yeah.
Bang on.
Double check the other side one.
Bit complicated there. It was quite hard to hold that side up. We had to remove the back box.
Yeah.
Bang on.
What I think we do is we change this crash bar now.
Yeah, because we've got a nice new one.
Bolt the new one on, and then we double check that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. Didn't do too much of the hammer and dollying, guys, because it is really, really noisy and there's not really no getting out of it. So all pulled back to where it should be. Just turning the torch off here, sorry. And it's all stayed where it needs to be. This has got to have a little bit more dollying up yet, but we don't normally work on a Saturday, and we are trying to get a bit of an early start on this one and get it done, because we've got quite a lot on next week. But that bar is now sitting all perfect. Chris said this panel here is 99% where it needs to be, but we can use the light panel to actually slip in there and get the last little tiny, that little tiny bit there might need a tiny little bit more tweaking. But it's already, just time goes nowhere. We started recording this video about 10 o'clock this morning, and it's already 1 o'clock now. We've just stopped for lunch. Chris just shouted me, Claire's done us a little bit of a treat for a Saturday. Yeah, I am. Seafood. Very, very nice. We'll eat that and we'll crack on. So first fit for that new panel, and it actually does, fits lovely all up the top, all the way down the edge here, and all the way across here as well. Chris did just say, we know that this is correct, this white panel, had no damage on it. But as you can see, this is pretty straight, and it's got to have a bit of a dip in it there and be shaped to that new panel. So bit of fettling there to do, but pretty much for the most part, we're there with it now. So Chris will get on and get that shaped up, and then we'll move on to the next bit. So guys, like with all these jobs, it is all about fitting, test fitting, taking things off, putting things back on, constantly just trying everything so that you make sure everything is uniform. Like these gaps around these back lights, if you hold that down, Chris, can't really see that side, but they're both perfect. And that's with the light panel just screwed in there. Just got some south tappers holding it in there, and we're quite now happy with that light panel exactly where it is. We have got to take it off again, prime it, zinc prime it, get it back in place, do all this test fitting once again, and then once we're happy with it, we can then actually weld that in, or are we going to tack it in, fit the quarter, and then do all the welding together?
Tack it in.
That's probably what we do, isn't it? But because Chris has made these holes with the screws, hopefully when we take it off, zinc prime it, put it back together, those screws will go straight back in those holes, and we'll know pretty much that that is back where it needs to be. So yeah, a bit of work involved, but it's really starting to pay off now and starting to come back together. So let's strip it all back down again. It's all zinc primed up, guys. We actually just done it. We got the wrong mat for that focus, so we've started using it as a bit of a mat now. Chris has zinc primed it all. He's just going around putting all the screws back in it. We'll do that one last test fit with that rear light, and then we're going to start the process of mocking up the quarter panel.
Welding this in.
Oh yeah, of course, we're going to tack that in first, aren't we? And then put on the quarter panel. That's the first test fit of the quarter panel. That is not welded on, it's just held on with a couple of self drillers and some mole grips. Got some aperture clamps in the door, and we've put the door latch back on, gapped up all of that, and that all opens and shuts perfect as it should. So we've got a cut up the top there to do, got a cut here to do, and of course the one in the door to do. We'll be cutting them and then obviously refitting it again, checking it, make sure it's 100% before we start the process of welding it up. But I did just throw the backlight in there just to try it all in and make sure that we was happy with everything. You're quite happy, Chris, aren't you?
Yeah.
all seems to be quite nice, doesn't it? Lovely round there. So really getting there with it now. It is quite off-putting to a lot of people, a quarter panel, and it is quite a process, like I've said in previous videos, of drilling out all of those spot welds, and then of course you've got to drill them all out on the parts car and then straighten the car out and put it all back on there. But so far so good. All of the fuel filler neck, that all fits perfect. All of the bolt holes all line up. All of the spot welds all the way around here. You can see Chris has put 2 screws in now, but this panel was originally obviously connected to this panel because this come off the same car. And as you can see, those spot welds in there all line up perfect as well. He stuck a screw in here and you got that spot weld up there that lines up perfect. So really moving along with it. We now need to mark it all up here, up there, and of course down there by the seal, ready to make those cuts. That's all the cutting, all the weld through primer, everything like that's done, guys. Chris is still banging around, just settling there, so I've come round this side out of the way. That's now ready to actually get on there and start the process of getting it tacked up. It is quite high up. Chris did say he's going to try and weld up as much of it as he can. But what do you say, Chris? We'll probably get it about right and then hopefully get the car off the jig and finish it on the ramp.
Only to do along
the under edge, because of the seal clamp is quite close here, so he's possibly just gonna we're gonna put it on the ramp, take it off the jig. It just makes life that much easier. He can get it up in the air and actually work from the back underneath it. So really getting there now, and hopefully not long, and that will be all buttoned up and on there. Chris has got a few tacks in there now, guys, holding that in place. As you can see, he's got 4 or 5 up there on the B post and 4 or 5 across there in the C post. Lovely, nice joint there. And of course, got the aperture clamps on. All of these are ready to do. And he's got 3 or 4 in there as well. So there's a couple round the back as well, Chris, isn't there? Yeah. These ones here are all done. We've got a couple here, so these screws can come out, and he can even a couple up there. So really moving on with it. Chris did just say he's probably, well, he is going to be able to do the rest of these here, because there is only a couple. These couple here, round here, and possibly just get all of that done. And it is just going to be that bottom edge that he's going to need to get it on the ramp for, because that seal clamp is going to be in the way. And he can actually get it up on the ramp, and you'll be down like that, and he can work underneath it with it right up in the air in the ramp. So that does kind of make sense, doesn't it? But quite happy with how that went, mate, aren't you? Yeah, really happy with it. So you're just going to crack on and weld the rest of that up off camera. We don't need to show that, do we? So we get that done, guys, and then we'll have a look at it when it's finished. Now getting very close to lifting this one off the jig. You can see up here, Chris has done that seam weld That's perfect. He's done that seam weld through the B post here. And then of course, all of those plug welds down the aperture there of the door. And of course that nice join through there. Done a really, really nice job of that. That's gonna need the tiniest amount of filler in it. And that door, guys, listen, perfect. And the gap down there, perfect. All the lines all line up and the panels meet, absolutely perfect. There is still there is a little bit of welding left to do, obviously underneath there, but I did say we need to get it off the jig first. And there's a couple of plug welds to do around this side of it as well. So we have just lined it up on the jig. You can see the arms are under there, ready to lift it off. So Chris is just gonna go around now, crack all the bolts off, and then we can lift it up in the air and get it off the jig, make a bit more room to finish the welding. So that's how far we've got so far. So another one pretty much done, guys. We have had another job come up, another job that we need to get in. It's a bit more urgent than this one, but there's probably one more video on this, and that's going to be just finishing it off, getting it around the paint shop, putting it back together and crunching the numbers. Hopefully that's the plan anyway, but got a lot done in this video. I don't think I didn't record as much as we normally do in repairing a car like this. I'd like to think that we got enough in there for you to get a rough idea of what it is that we're up to, but we didn't really record so much of it, and there was a little bit of time lapse in there just for all the long jobs. So even though it's a bit of a short video, we got it done, and it's pretty much, Chris will jump back on this early hours of the morning or late in the evening just to finish that welding off so it's not too hot, and then we'll pick up on this one once it goes round to the paint shop and hopefully get it all in one colour. So unfortunately that is going to be the end of today's video. Thank you everybody for the love and support over these last few weeks on all of these builds that we've been doing. It's really exciting. We're really excited to have those cars in. Those two Escorts are really, really nice to have in. We've got a car around the paint shop at the moment, and we are waiting for a gap for this one, which is probably going to be next week. That's kind of why we're not really rushing it. We can get that bit of welding finished, get it on its wheels, and that can wait in the queue for the paint shop. So me and Chris are just about, well, that's a little bit of a sneak peek. We're just heading out the door to go and make a video for you guys. So hopefully that's another nice one for you all to look forward to. In the meantime, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram for the little sneak peeks at Salvage Rebuilds. Check out the merchandise. That's enough waffle. The link is in the description. Like, subscribe and share, and we'll see you all very, very soon in the next one.